Welcome to the deep dive.
Mm.
What if these seemingly random headlines, the U.S. Bitcoin reserve shrinking, the Epstein list staying hidden, new conflict in Syria, what if they're actually connected?
Right, like threads in a bigger picture.
Exactly. Today we're sort of pulling at those threads using analysis from Simon Dixon's Bitcoin HardTalk show. He's, a real pioneer in Bitcoin.
And our mission really is to figure out what these shifts mean, how they might link up, and basically what you need to know to navigate it all.
Okay, let's jump straight into Bitcoin then. It's been on an absolute tear. New all-time highs this week, $122,484.
Incredible numbers. It's the world's fifth largest asset now, $2.3 trillion market cap.
And it even flipped the Brazilian real, becoming the 10th most valuable currency globally. That's quite something.
Yeah, and amidst all that, Washington's buzzing. The House passed 3 big crypto bills.
The Genius Act for stablecoins.
Right, the Clarity Act for regulations, and interestingly, the Anti-CBDC Act. Now, that one doesn't totally ban a digital dollar.
Right.
But it means Congress has to approve it. Which, might actually leave room for private crypto to grow.
But here's a twist. The U.S. Marshals Service, they just revealed the government's Bitcoin stash, their strategic reserve, is down almost 80%.
80%? Wow. From what, over 200,000 BTC?
Yeah, down to just under 29,000 BTC, which apparently makes China the biggest government holder now. What do you make of that?
Well, Dixon suggests it's maybe not accidental. Especially when you hear reports President Trump might sign an executive order allowing 401ks to invest in Bitcoin and crypto. That could potentially tap into, $9 trillion in retirement funds.
So less government Bitcoin, maybe more private holding encouraged?
Could be. And then look at BlackRock.
Yeah.
After that huge Ethereum short squeeze, they filed to add staking to their ETH ETF.
Staking. Dixon sees that as a power grab.
Right. Exactly. He argues it's a way to gain control over Ethereum's governance via proof of stake, which is fundamentally different, he says, from Bitcoin's proof of work, which is more decentralized, more censorship resistant.
Okay, so big moves in crypto. But you're saying this isn't happening in a vacuum. Let's broaden out to the global economy.
Absolutely. Dixon draws parallels between the economic stress in the EU and Japan and where the U.S. might be headed. He calls it part of a proof of weapons network's global destabilization campaign.
Proof of weapons network. Okay. And he sees the EU's latest Russian oil sanctions, the 18th round, as part of this, like hurting themselves.
Yeah, he frames it as EU vassalization. Higher energy costs for Europe, potentially lower prices for BRICS nations like China and India buying that oil.
And Japan, you said that's like a warning sign for the U.S.
Very much so, according to Dixon. Japan's debt to GDP is over 260%. Their 30-year bonds lost nearly half their value since 2019.
Wow.
And the Bank of Japan's sitting on record unrealized losses like $198 billion. Dixon's point is the U.S., with its trade deficit, might be on an even rockier path.
And back home, we're seeing inflation persist. The U.S. deficit's heading towards $1.88 trillion this year. CPI just ticked up to 2.7%.
Yep. And then you have things like approving certain NVIDIA chip exports to China while also threatening tariffs on Russia. It's a complex mix.
So while the U.S. is maybe drawing down reserves, you mentioned China.
Right. Dixon highlights China quietly building a massive strategic oil reserve, potentially rivaling OPEC plus Smile, alongside becoming the top government holder of Bitcoin. It looks like a deliberate strategy.
Okay, financial chess games, economic warnings. But there's also this geopolitical layer, often murkier. Let's talk about what Dixon calls the Epstein cover-up.
Yeah. The DOJ and FBI closing the case, saying no client list, suicide. It all felt very sudden to many.
Especially with Ghislaine Maxwell reportedly offering to testify, Elon Musk demanding the list's release, and Trump calling it a Democrat hoax. Dixon says the list itself is a weapon to keep leaders in check and will never come out. What's the weapon angle there?
Well, the implication from Dixon is that the potential existence of such a list, the threat of exposure, acts as leverage. It's a tool for control, maybe, more than just a scandal waiting to happen.
Hidden influence.
Kind of. And this idea of hidden maneuvers connects to Syria. Israel's recent big strikes on Damascus, Dixon called it an unplanned escalation.
Disrupting some kind of negotiation.
Yeah, potentially disrupting a negotiated decolonization process.
Yeah.
He suggests Israel's actions, perhaps representing U.S. military-industrial interests, were aimed at weakening groups like HTS.
And all this while the Gaza humanitarian crisis is ongoing. Reports of aid being funneled into zones the UN calls killing zones.
Grim reports, yeah. And Israeli soldiers allegedly ordered to fire into crowds waiting for food.
It's also politically shaky for Netanyahu, isn't it?
Definitely. His coalition looks fragile, with Orthodox parties threatening to bolt, which could force new elections. Lots of instability simmering there.
So we've covered a lot. Finance, economics, geopolitics. Things might look stable on the surface, but Dixon's core argument is that this apparent stability is by design.
Exactly. He sees a new financial system being rolled out. Think full reserve stablecoins backed by government debt, maybe tokenized political access.
And the ETFs holding the real Bitcoin, while investors get what he calls fake exposure.
That's the structure he's describing, a controlled system being built.
Which makes Bitcoin itself stand out, right? As the one neutral system they can't print or sanction. So the takeaway, hold your own keys. Don't trust proxies.
Absolutely. And maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. Stability is often the story they sell you, right before they pull the plug.